Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started tonight. Tonight we're gonna have Councilman Chappelle lead us in prayer, and I ask that everyone please stand for the pledge after. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started tonight. Item 1 on the agenda is to consider approval of minutes of September 21st, 2021 regular meeting and September 28th, 2021 special meeting.
After reviewing the minutes, I'll make a motion that we approve the September 21st and the regular meeting on September 28th special meeting as presented.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. Now move on to item 2. Item 2 is to consider approval of 2 pay requests from H. Howard for work on the new City Lake Spillway Bridge. How you doing, sir? You may have to hold it down.
That's going to be a challenge for me. Mike Burns, I'm with KSA Engineers out of Longview office. I am a municipal practice director for the company in Longview, and I'm you got the B team. I'm standing in for Lanny and Brittany. They're on official business, looking at equipment for the expansion for your wastewater treatment plant project. So they gave me a list of stuff to present for you tonight, and I'm going to be up here quite a bit, it looks like. I'm a lot on the agenda. So item number 2 is a pay request number 2 for H. Howard and Sons for the construction of the spillway at Town Lake. And we have looked over that and submitted it with our approval for payment to the city. They have making great strides and good progress, and they are waiting on the pedestrian bridge to be delivered. It's a prefab bridge that's coming from Minnesota, so it's en route, and as soon as it gets here, they'll set that bridge, and we'll be pretty close to finishing on that project. Everything's going well on it.
So if I'm looking at this right, these 2 payments will put us at 50% completion. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, sir.
And for the public, this pay request is for $82,858.52.
Yeah, and then
and there's the additional one over here. There's $266,018.53.
And that's the one for pay estimate number 2.
How much was the total bid on this?
Right there on that first page inside.
A big part of the project cost is that bridge. Once it's installed, it'll be pretty much complete.
And do we have any tentative lead time on that bridge as far as delivery of the actual bridge itself before they install it?
From what I understand, it is en route. So I think it should be here sometime late this week, early next week, and then we'll have it crane set up and install it.
Okay, council, we have any further questions at this time? I will open the floor for a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion, to pay, to approve the two pay requests from H.H. Howard and Son on the New City Lake Spillway Bridge.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close item 2 on the agenda and move on to item 3. Item 3 is to consider approval of pay request from Watson Commercial Construction for work on the community center.
Mayor, I have to admit that Mr. Buck did not provide me any information on this item for the consideration. For whatever you have in your council agenda packet, if it's a signed payout from KSA, then it would be our recommendation for approval on that item.
Again, this pay request is for $62,054.10. This is the first pay request that they've submitted, I believe, on this project.
What's it for in a nutshell?
To be honest with you, I'm not even aware of what the work at the community center is.
On here, there's a line item that says, Mike, cost proposal number 1, PEMBU/C. Can you maybe elaborate on that acronym there, the PEMBUC?
Can I just say something? This is really the domain of the architects, I believe, on this one, Mike. I think they're the ones that actually okayed the pay request there. So this is the architects.
Is the pay request have an architect's name at the top of it?
Yes.
Then I don't feel so bad.
There is a notary seal that's saying that they pretty much swearing that the work has been completed as
Who have we elected to oversee this particular project? If it's not KSA, then who's going to oversee, like we did with some of these other projects, to make sure that these... Okay, so the architect's not here tonight to represent or give us any updates?
That's going to be the Godwin Design out of Hugh Springs here. No one's here on their behalf.
Because I don't want this to be a habit. I think going forward, they need a representative here if they want to get, approved payment on these things.
I certainly agree on that. Because I think what the council is, especially Councilman Spruill here is asking, and is we need to know what we're making this payment for, what work we're
Excuse me, what's that? Yeah.
That's part of it. That's for the application for initial one.
I really can't tell you much about that other than I just felt like Mike kind of got blindsided here because this was always the Godwin architects. I can't tell you much about it other than that.
On what we're looking at here is the application of a certificate for a payment, but it's not really very broad here on detailing what we're seeing. So go ahead, Council.
I move that we table this item until we do the proper research to present it before the council.
I'll second that.
We have a move to table this item by Councilman Dale. I'm sorry, that was Councilman Walker, and that was Councilman Adams to second it. Madam Secretary, record a vote for this motion.
Aye.
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 The vote goes unanimous. This item will be tabled until our next meeting. Okay, we'll go ahead and close item 3. Item 4 on the agenda is to consider approval of pay request for Basin M sewer line improvements from ASB Utility Construction.
Mayor and council, I do know about this project, so I do have information. ASB Utility Construction has been working for several months. This is their pay application number 2 in the amount of $152,209. And again, they're making some good progress. There's still a lot of work left to do. As with any utility trenching project in an old part of town, there's a lot of surprises as you go through to find existing lines and where they are and make connections. But they're really easy to work with, and they're making good progress on this project.
Mike, do they feel that they can meet the 210 days or less that's part of this contract time?
Councilman, as far as I know, they do. They feel confident that they move forward.
Okay, if the council has no further questions, we'll open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve this pay request for Basin M sewer line improvements from ASB Utility Construction as presented for the financial impact of $152,209.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carried unanimously. We'll now close that item and move on to our next item on the agenda, which is item 5, pavement evaluation report by KSA.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I appreciate the time that you gave me at the last council meeting when I first introduced myself. My name is Abiel Carrillo. I'm working under Lanny on the pavement inspection street assessment project. Last time I reported on the basics of the project, on how the modeling works, and some other project specifics, including the issue with the model itself that we've been trying to work through. Today I'm happy to report that we're making really good progress. At the last meeting, I promised to dedicate all the right resources to make sure to diligently move forward with this project. And right now we are at about 50% of the remodeling. And fortunately, I was able to extract some information, which is the chart that you see on your council packet, the big pie chart. It's just an initial view, taking into account about 50% of the roads in the city. We kind of start seeing a pattern emerge of the distribution of the conditions throughout the city. Now, this will change as we enter more parts of the city. This is, for the most part, the northeast quadrant and a big portion of the southeast quadrant of the city. But as you can see, we are starting to see a trend of about half of your roads being in either good or acceptable condition, about a quarter being in fair condition, and a quarter being in a poor condition, or the 1% in a failed condition. The worst condition roads appear to be some of the roads that you've annexed most recently, the county roads, kind of in the outskirts of town. So those seem to make up that 1%. Like I mentioned, we have I have one of the techs that works under my supervision. She is basically full-time on this, and I will be back at the next council to report hopefully a big leap in progress. And I know I kind of glossed over the presentation that I made last time, but if there are any questions, I am happy to answer them.
So, for the 14% poor and 8% very poor, does that include any of our major roads or highways within those? If so, can you let us know which roads or highways those involve?
Yes, definitely, Counselor. That's a good question. Your more important roads, those seem to be in better condition because of the great work that you guys have done proactively to seal coat and to crack seal and basically take care of the surface. Now this, you mentioned the highways, and the TxDOT facilities are excluded from this report just because you don't actually maintain those. And so, so just wanted to clarify. But your poorest condition roads do seem to be those residential roads that are in the older parts of the city, and very particularly some of the county roads that you've annexed.
Hey, Council, we have any further questions?
Yeah, just one. So your final report, will it kind of spell out which road? It'll obviously show which roads are in which conditions, but will you also provide recommendations on what need to be done to get them back to a par standard or to even a good or very good standard?
Yes, Counselor. I'm sorry I didn't finish answering your question. I kind of trailed off. But to answer the question that you asked me previously, yes, the report includes a table of conditions per approximate block. So for example, in your downtown district, we have a per block description of the condition and some other factors, the length, the width, things like that. And for your roads that are a little bit longer, we have segments that are clearly defined on maps that will be included in the report. Now, as far as the recommendations go, the strategy behind the pavement management system that we're implementing is that what the plan prompts the city to do is to try to catch roads at certain inflection points. So at just before the point where a good road is about to become a fair road, because it's less expensive to apply a preventative treatment to that road than it is to let it get into the fair condition or a worse condition. Now, it's not a perfect system, but that's what the aim is. And so the recommendations will be geared towards that. And at the last time I presented, I did talk about a little bit of a counterintuitive approach, which is actually not that counterintuitive in the city, because you are proactive in doing seal coats and fog seals and things like that. That a lot of your dollars of your road budget, it will be our recommendation to send them to some of the good roads, because over the long term, that will lead to a more sustainable way of managing your roadway network.
At this time, we're half through with all the now on your end.
Yes, sir, Mayor, Councilor, and and more so on we're 50% done with the corrections, to be honest, that we're making as a quality control issue that we found. And I say that because, of course, to admit where we stand, and also to emphasize that it should be faster than the time that it's taken us to get here.
And what is your projected time you think you'll have this completed?
Sure. Now that we've actually accomplished where we are, I am targeting the beginning of December to have an actual fully working model. And I'll be prepared to come back in your November council meeting to make sure to restate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. We appreciate you for that report.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, well, at this time, we'll go ahead and close item 5 on the agenda. We'll now move on to item 6. Item 6 is to consider approval of pay request to Texas J&D Construction for work on the 12-inch West Loop water line.
KSA engineers, the 12-inch West Loop water line is progressing very well. What I understand that the contractor has pretty much installed most of the major lines. They are waiting on bacterial testing to come back, and they'll make the final connections, and that line will be hot and ready to go. This pay request, number 4, is for the amount of $83,091.75, and we recommend approval of this pay request from the contractor.
Appears they're way ahead of schedule.
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
You have to let it out.
It appears that they're way ahead of schedule. They're 64%. 83% out of 150 days. Am I right about that? Are we way ahead of schedule?
Yes, ma'am. They have made real good progress on that west loop. Lots of open ground to trench water line in.
The weather has been on their side.
Okay, no further questions. We'll go ahead and open it up for a motion.
I make a motion to approve pay request to Texas J&D Construction for work on the 12-inch West Loop water line.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilman Chappelle, second by Councilman Dale. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. We'll now close that item on the agenda. Our next item, item 7, is to consider approval of pay request to GM Roberts, INC, DBA Corrosion Eliminators for work on School Street. That's the rehab.
Mayor and council, this item is another pay request from the contractor. This is pay estimate number 10 for the repainting and reworking the School Street elevated storage tank. The pay estimate in the amount of $48,437.26 is submitted for approval and payment. I believe the contractor was supposed to be here. He's here to answer any questions on schedule and completion.
Yes, sir. Could we have you come up? Please state your name for us.
My name is Sherman Williams. I'm employed by Corrosion Eliminators. I am their new, as of the end of the summer, operations superintendent.
All righty. Council, open for questioning.
So the last time we had a meeting, KSA informed us that y'all had provided them with a new completion date of November 16th. Are we going to hit that date or before that? Because we're 28 days from that date.
No, we, I'm expecting everybody's met Wayne. He's VP. Wayne and I got together on the numbers for schedule times. The schedule that's been provided to you, that I think everyone should have received, is a good educated timeline for what it's going to take to complete that job.
So where's that timeline putting you now based upon that educated schedule?
It's going to put us in the month of December.
Okay, because at the last meeting, I think I instructed Brittany to make sure that she got with your company to see what we can do to help these wireless carriers, because they're suffering from this, and we need to rectify that problem. I don't know if you understand what I'm telling you, but when they took all the antennas off the tower and dropped them down over 100 feet, it's really affected their service. And now we're talking December, whenever that may be. That's possibly another 2 months plus. We've got to do something to help their customers out.
Well, the primary issue, the problem with the wireless carrier antennas is at the portion of work that we're currently undertaking, we can't have the antennas on the tank. Now, once the surface prep and prime has taken place, once we're in a painting phase where we can take the tarps down, if anybody's visited the site here recently, we've recently erected all the containment system to contain the exterior blast and paint. Once that's taken down, they want to replace the antennas, they can. But at this point, there's not anything else that we can do for the wireless carrier.
Do you have access to a crane? We need to get those antennas higher. These carriers were told initially this project was going to be done in August, and now we're talking December. They're taking constant complaints from their customers. They've had customers leave their service because of this issue. It's unacceptable.
Well, I can understand their concern. I can understand the problem, but from a painter standpoint, there's not a whole lot I can do about that.
Right, but we need to do something. We need to think outside the box. So if y'all have access to a crane, we can work with these carriers. We can get those antennas lifted up. I realize crane costs money, but Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, they're losing money. They're losing customers. Every day goes by, they're losing customers.
I understand that.
We have any further questions?
I'd like to, in the original contract, I understand we made an adjustment to get to the November 16th day, and now we're going into December, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's a $500 a day penalty on not completing that. I'm just curious, you said you'd talk to your vice president. Have y'all had a discussion about not meeting that and understanding some of the complaints and some of the issues that we have with y'all not meeting the deadline? And have y'all discussed a resolution to try to meet that?
Well, basically, the discussion that we had was that evidently the city has another water project that they're trying to work on. And am I correct? Was there another project that was waiting for water in this tank? Okay. So part of our discussion and in our new schedule is to complete all portions of the tank that can be completed in order to put the tank back online until we can finish the remainder. So in other words, where we would normally take care of the sandblasting and the priming and the painting on everything, we would take care of all the sandblasting and the priming on the entire tank, and then those areas where it come in contact with water, such as the riser pipe and the body of the tank, would then be finished. Once that takes place, then we can put water back in the tank, and it can be used while we go back and continue finishing the painting on the remainder of the tank. And that's built into that schedule.
How is your help situation? I know previously, I think when the owner came, he explained to us, which I think everyone knows the help situation across the U.S. today, but how is the help situation right now on this project?
On this project, the help situation is good. My prior experience with elevated water towers is approximately 22 years. My father and I owned Williams Painting and Sandblasting out of Tyler, Texas, and I've been rehabbing these types of projects for that full length of time. The people that I currently have on site here in Mount Pleasant are people that were formerly employed by me. So we have qualified personnel on site. We have materials on site. And the intention is to start the exterior surface preparation within the next few days.
How many days a week are y'all working right now?
Well, I know we've been limited to 6 days. I've been directed to keep my hours to a maximum of around 50 hours a week. Depending on progress that we make, we may have to extend those hours. I'll have to go to my boss to do that. But right now, the intention is a minimum of 5 days a week.
I think it would, I would encourage them to look at with this weather. We've been very fortunate as far as, depending on which side of the fence you're on, if you're wanting rain or not wanting, but in your case, you're not wanting it. We've been very fortunate, and I would recommend to the higher ups that try to work and get all the work in you can. This is critical as Councilman Chappelle. I'll echo that. It's citizens. It's our phone service is absolutely it's pitiful. I have to walk outside my office here in town. And I drop call after call, and I'm just one of many, and I get complaints on I'm not going to say a daily basis, but weekly for sure, even now. So,
I think had anyone, which like I said, I wasn't with the company at the time, but I think had anyone intended or expected for the time to run the length that it did, I think there would have been different decisions made at the beginning of the project. Where we are currently and being an elevated tank and the fact that it is on a hill. I've made my objections to upper management for the fact that wind now becomes an issue. So those breezy days that we like to fly a kite are not those days where we can have our tarps in the air working. So I will continue to press for additional working days available. And as I say, Councilman and Mayor, the schedule that I've given you is giving me a little bit of wiggle room. It did me no good to give you a schedule that puts us complete in November when I have a pretty good solid idea in the back of my head that we won't make it. So the schedule that I've given you is doable.
We appreciate you being honest with us. That's what we want. We don't want the wool pulled over. Yeah, maybe we can. You know, we want this has been drawn. It don't do anybody any good. We need to know.
Yeah, because for the past 3 months, our chains being yanked.
I'm sorry I wasn't at the previous meeting.
I've got one more deal. Obviously, you've just been brought in. You bring some expertise with you that, and some knowledge with you, and some actually skilled workers with you. So, I believe that you can probably do it. I would ask that you go to your management at this point and tell them that I personally, I don't know what the will of the council is. I would consider it 5 days a week, 50 hours a week. I would consider that a light week. It's a light week in my work. I'm working 70, 80 hours a week. And so I would venture a guess that you could possibly, if you could go to your upper management and tell them that we expect at least 6 days a week and possibly 7. And if we can see that y'all are trying to get the deal finished, it's easier for me to choke back the $500 a day penalty. Okay. But if you're working a 50-hour work week, I'm not willing to choke back the penalty at all. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly my point, and that's the point I've been making is, you know, on prior projects for myself, we would typically run a 10-day stretch and have a couple of days off and then run another 10. I can't speak for the situation of ownership, but I can speak to the fact that if I'm able to convey to ownership that us being able to move forward in as expeditious a manner as possible, which includes working weekend, that it will save the company any liquidated damages, I might be able to pull that.
I would on my behalf, I can't speak for the rest of the council, I would tend to be more lenient if the work schedule was up a little bit.
And we certainly got, the weather is not going to be in our favor up the road, so the sooner we get this job completed, be the better for all of us.
Once the sandblasting is completed, the painting typically goes fairly quickly. So I think as soon as we're able to get rolling on taking paint off and getting it in primer, then your tank starts to look better every day.
And also, I would like to request, you know, if you can, and it's possible for you to come back to our next meeting and maybe give us an update all along here where we know where we're at.
I'll be happy to do that.
We certainly thank you, sir.
So just real quick, is all the interior work been done? Now it's just all exterior work that needs to be done to complete the project?
Yes, sir. Currently, the interior of the tank is complete. All the structural items are complete. If the city were in a need to put the tank back in service, it could be placed back in service within a week. So yes, interior coating is 100%.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, the floor is open for a motion.
I'll move the pay request to Jim Roberts, Corrosion Eliminator.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, please record a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion unanimously. We'll go ahead and close that item on the agenda, and now we'll move on to item 8. Item 8 is to consider award of bid for Big Tex lift station. Mr. Burns.
Mayor and council, this is a item we've been working on for some time to replace a lift station out at Big Tex on the interstate. And we took 2 bids. I think you have that bid tab in your package. And one of the low bid that was presented is from a company called Udelhoven. Their corporate office is listed as Anchorage, Alaska, but they have plenty of personnel and company assets in the state of Texas, and have been working in the state of Texas for some time. It comes up with the question of, do you award a contract to a out-of-state company? The bids were very close. The second bidder was 7H out of Tyler, and we've worked with them on many projects through the years. Both contractors are experienced and capable of doing the work. We've done the reference checking on Udelhoven, and they can carry the mail on this project. David Stanek with Udelhoven is here representing their company and their desire to continue this project. Your attorney may have some comments or points to make on this before y'all make a decision.
I'd just like to hear from their representative right now, Mike.
Please state your name for the council.
My name is David Stanek, Udelhoven. I'm the vice president located here in Texas.
We're here in Texas. Where's your office located?
I have a home office in Kingwood, and then we have a facility, which is our main facility where we run our Texas businesses in Floresville, Texas. And then Floresville, Texas. And then our second one is in No Trees, Texas.
And these operations, these satellite or pilot operations, have been here for, do you know about how many years?
Yes, about 1997. So the long and the short of it is, Udelhoven was founded in 1970 in Alaska. We were incorporated in Texas in 1997.
Please continue. That's the only issue tonight. We're just looking at your residency. And I'm sure you've run into this issue in other places. I'm sure the way you filled out your form on your bid sheets. But explain to us, okay, that. But just continue on. You're telling us what we need to hear.
Yes. So our bid form, basically, we've run into this not really that often, to be honest. We've got, I think, 7 different local state projects: City of Pampa, Abilene. Excuse me while I move my notes. The town of Victoria, Broadus, Texas Parks and Wildlife. We're executing water and wastewater projects throughout the state. We do a lot of remote villages as well, which are out of state lift station type projects as well. And then we bid on, anywhere from, I would say, 4 to 6 projects a month. Udelhoven has been mostly focused in Texas in the oil field business, companies such as QEP, XTO, and a handful of others, Goodnight, and then as well in South Texas, where we focus in the industrial markets for Formosa Plastics, Indorama, and the sort. And we've branched out into the municipal business a couple years ago and started to move forward as we've been successful on projects, and we have those in execution right now.
Are these lift stations that you're doing here in Pampa, Abilene, Victoria, some of these cities, is it lift station projects that you're doing there? Yes, I guess you can consider Abilene a very large lift station. It's feeding out of it's like a 6 MGD project out there for very large pumps. Out in far west Texas, we were awarded another lift station project
Broadus is a small lift station project, but then chlorine dioxide rooms, that kind of stuff. Pampa is mostly clarifier rebuilds, activated sludge systems, and pump and so forth. So a lot of underground and apparatus as well.
Okay, so you, just to clarify here, I can see what you have there. You were initially, you incorporated in the state of Texas initially, is that what your controller's sheet there?
Yes, sir. We were incorporated in '97 in the state of Texas. Before that, we were founded in Alaska in 1970. And I guess part of the confusion is when we look at the form, that Texas form, it kind of says your parent company, not if you're incorporated locally. So we've had confusion on that form as to really what to fill out and how to fill it out. So we didn't want to mislead. We are incorporated. We collect taxes in Texas. We've been here for a long time. But our first company was in 1970 in Alaska. So we consider that our corporate office, even though it's a different, group. Well, it's the same group, but it's Alaska business versus Texas. So.
And I hope you understand what we see and what we look at is when we're looking at something like a lift station, when we see a company from Alaska bid on it and we don't have this other information, it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, okay, what are you doing here? And not that we don't want to do business with whoever, but the fact is we're just kind of curious as to why they were. So this makes a little more sense when it's presented this way.
I would be doing the exact same thing if I was sitting there. Absolutely.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, you just want to make sure it's not a fly-by-night operation that pops in here and does something and not here and not quality work. Have you guys worked with KSA before?
I don't believe with KSA. Jacobs, they're his competitors, yes, without naming them, but yes.
In his defense, I kind of have to agree with him. There is a little confusion on that, what you have to disclose and put in those packets. And so what he did, I'd rather him do what he did. And if you notice in some other instances we've had, it sure is nice to have the guy come and say, this is what we are and this is how we do it and this is what. So out of fairness to him, nothing against the other folks in any way. They're certainly, but just out of fairness to this guy, that's the reason that I asked that y'all do that. And I think he's cleared it up from that standpoint, whatever. So, we're down to just the lowest bidder. But I do appreciate you coming tonight and clearing that up for us.
Thank you all, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you for
We
being
thank
here.
you for being here. Okay. Council, floor is open.
Does Darlene, do you have a copy of the bid sheet? Because all I've got is just a tab. I don't have a copy of the actual bids.
Yeah, that's all we have in our packet. Do you have it there handy? I didn't.
The total bid for this company here is $399,868.38. The other bid was $401,565.80.
Can you spell the name of this company for me?
UDELHOVEN Oilfield System.
Does that show on there also? I forget the time frame that this was, the amount of days for this project.
No, sir.
But I'm sure you feel comfortable with those, with the time when you bid on it, that you could do it in a timely manner, whatever that be. I don't have that in front of me.
If I remember right, I think it's 108 calendar days. 180 calendar days.
Mr. City Attorney, or anybody that would know, it may be KSA, are the, on all points, are the bids, I know they're very close in money. Are there any other outstanding points where one bid is significantly different, such as timelines, any little thing, penalties for no completion? Is there anything else we need to consider?
Sherry, I don't know anything from the legal standpoint. The last time we put it was razor thin. Whatever. I think Mike's answered most of that for you. That everything was. They're both qualified. They're both capable. They both do this. Whatever. So.
Council, first, we typically, this is a unit price bid, and we typically go through and check the math, make sure they got the extensions right. Everything checked out. It was right down to really close.
I'll make a motion, we, award the Big Tex lift station to Unihoven Oilfield Systems.
Yeah, motion by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Walker. Madam Secretary, please record a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you for being
Mike.
here tonight. Appreciate the presentation. Look forward to working with you.
And thank you for your patience with me tonight.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate it.
Okay, we have now closed item 8 on the agenda, and we'll now move on to item 9, which is to consider approve. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I thought Lanny would be hard to beat, but I think y'all may have another guy that can.
Okay. We're gonna consider approval of award of the street bid.
Thank you, Council. This is our street bid. We bid this for 3 years this year. We bid out the field sand, topsoil, crushed iron ore, flex base type A, crushed limestone, hot oil sand, hot mix, type D, hot mix laid, and hot mix cold lay. We recommend that H.E. Span and Company, LLC, be awarded for flex base type A, crushed limestone, TxDOT type A. We recommend that R.L. Gerhardt be awarded for field sand and topsoil. And we recommend that R.K. Hall be awarded for hot oil sand and hot mix cold lay, TxDOT type D, with Richard Drake being awarded as a secondary bid in case we can't get it from the first one. We recommend that Seton Construction be awarded for the crushed iron ore, TxDOT type B, and that Texas Land and Asphalt be awarded for the hot mix laid type D, with Richard Drake being awarded as a secondary bid for the laid type mix.
We bid this, every 3 years? Is that correct? By chance, did you look back, it's out of curiosity, what kind of increase we had on any particular one by chance, percentage-wise, or was it real close to what it was 3? I'm just curious.
We did a few increases on some of it. I don't remember right offhand what those increases were.
Nothing significant that just jumped out at you like, wow?
It was fairly small increases.
Did the same bidders, did you look back, did they, I noticed they kind of each one had their expertise in different items here. I just don't recall 3 years ago, was most of these awarded to the same people, same company?
Yes, sir. It was pretty much awarded all to the same companies. Richard Drake was the only new one this year, and he was just a little bit higher, but we want to go ahead and add them as a secondary bidder, just in case we can't get to the first bidder. And so we'd like to go ahead and keep them on the bid list, because sometimes we can't always get it as the first one, and we just get it from the second one if it's not available for the first one.
Thank you.
And Mikhail, these are just estimates of what you need. I mean, these are that's the reason you need an alternate, because these are just estimates. It could be more, could be a lot less.
That's correct. We buy it by the truckload, and they bidded it out by the truckload. And so if we end up doing more road projects, and we may end up doing more road projects based on the street assessment study that we're doing right now. And so if we end up buying more or less of the particular road project, we may, want to go buy, so we just have to bid it out like it is right now.
I guess the question would be, is this very important to have this tonight on a timeline to be approved, or are you on a strict guideline time frame here?
Mike?
Our contract ends October 31st, and so we wouldn't be able to purchase any more, asphalt or street mix if we moved it to the 1st in November until after we approve these bids. So I can wait if you want to. There would be a period of time where we wouldn't be able to purchase any.
November 2nd would actually be our meeting. Surely to God we could hold off a couple of days. I'd like to make a motion to table this. I've got a couple of questions about some of this.
Are these bids good? I'm just are they good? Will they hold till?
I'm sorry. Yeah. What is there something I could help you with? You want to?
I guess I'm curious, what kind of other questions do we need to address before we approve or vote on this?
We're going to be motioning to table the item, I believe.
We table the item. We like to table the item to do some more research before we make the bid tonight.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Jerry Walker, second by Mr. Adams, to table this item until our next meeting. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We will be tabling this item until our next meeting.
Thank you, Mikhail. Appreciate the presentation.
Item 10 on the agenda is to consider approval of agreement with the City of Gilmer Animal Services. Evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have Gilmer and Pittsburgh both. We talked about these back in May when I sent the contracts with the new consumer price index increase for this coming year. They were both sent to their respective elected officials who've signed those documents. Now they're back in your hands for final approval.
Do we see that we're getting timely payments from Gilmer Animal Shelter on this? I'm asking, do we see that the city of Gilmer's making timely monthly payments on this?
I have not been made aware of any issues with their payments coming to us.
And I'm sure, of course, Mikhail may be the one to answer this as far as that goes. And also, just for the public, we've got two here tonight: City of Pittsburgh and the City of Gilmer. And they also, the 15th of October of each year, they make a separate payment to the city, which is used for equipment or any needs that the city animal shelter service facility needs. And I guess that's always on a timely manner. I would guess. Okay. And the dollar amount here that we're receiving, is that on this sheet here? Is this the correct dollar amount, including the CPI?
Yeah, so Gilmer, their one-time payment in October is $5,250, and then they pay $2,750 each month. And the city of Pittsburgh, their annual payment is also $5,250, and their monthly is $3,306. Looking at the budget of animal control services and the amount that these two cities pay, it ends up about 21% of the budget for animal control services. And then when you look at how many animals they bring in versus, we're still the lion's share between us, Titus County, and what our animal control officers bring in.
This has been a good program. We've done this now, I forget how many years, but I'm going to say 8 or 10 years we've been involved in this, maybe more like 8. And it seemed like it's worked well with both of these cities. I don't know. I'm not aware of any problems that's arose out of it. I think payment's been timely. Like you said, they pay 21%. That was my next question. was thinking we'd be close to 25, so, of overall expenses, so.
Yeah, you know, it makes sense for us to combine kind of those resources together and share that cost financially. It's a good decision, so I think it's a mutually beneficial agreement that we have, and the employees work great together. You know, for example, last year Gilmer brought in less animals than normal, but that's because their animal control services positions weren't all filled. So now they're back running full steam, and so it's just like us, right? Business ebbs and flows.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Council, we have no further questions. We'll go ahead and open the floor for a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion that we approve this agreement with, I think at this time we're doing the city of
Yeah, well, we're gonna address both of them, but we got
do both of them together. Is that what you want to do?
We're gonna do the voting separately, but we already addressed. This is for the first item of Gilmer. Right.
I'll second the motion for the approval for City of Gilmer.
You'll need to address each item separately.
Right. So we're gonna vote on Gilmer, and then we'll do the second Pittsburgh.
Then you'll need to say the next item again, yes.
Right.
Ask any questions and vote on that one, yes.
Right.
So my motion will be here that to approve the approval of the agreement with the city of Gilmer Animal Services as presented for payment as presented by the chief.
I'll second the motion for the approval.
Motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, record a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, we'll now close that item. That would be item 10 being closed at this time. We'll now move on to item 11, which is consider approval of agreement with the City of Pittsburgh Animal Services. I know you just addressed this, Chief, but we're just got to go through the motions here.
It's okay. I know you all wanted to see me again, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, the dollar amounts are different, so we definitely need to address it.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh again is $5,250 in October, and then they pay $3,306 every month. And again, that increase was based on the consumer price index for the last 12 months.
Okay,
Thank you.
and we appreciate it, Chief. Okay, Council, we've already heard the amounts and everything, so we're going to go ahead and open the floor for a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion we approve this agreement with the city of Pittsburgh Animal Services as presented by the chief.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carried unanimously. We'll now close item 11 on the agenda. Our next agenda is item 12, is a public hearing to consider approval to declare 522 East 3rd Street, known as McLean Addition, Block 170, Lot 1A, a dangerous structure.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Just to give you a brief history on 522 East 3rd, since 2017, there have been 26 cases opened up against this property for various items from trash and weeds to minor property maintenance to extreme property maintenance. And over the last year, we've had 3 cases in August, March, and May. At the end of October, we got a call from several citizens concerned that the structure was going to collapse. I went out on September 1st, 2021, and did an evaluation of the structure. And based on what I saw, there's several holes in the roof which have rotted the ridge line of the roof and has begun to collapse in on the structural members, which are in turn causing the porch to collapse in. Essentially, the roof is coming in and the porch is, so it's kind of collapsing in on itself. During that process, we reached out to the property owners. We never heard back. I think it was around January of 2021. Miss McLaughlin's, I think it was her uncle, reached out to us and he brought us the obituaries for Mr. and Mrs. McLaughlin. So they had both been passed away. He also gave us an address of a relative that lived in Louisiana, Alexandria, Louisiana. So we reached out to that residence, and I got a copy of the returned letter in there, and basically he wrote on there that they were both deceased. The property is about 8 years behind in back taxes. I believe Tim Taylor already has possession of it, hasn't started the process on it. So this evening, pending somebody here to speak on behalf of the property and make repairs, we're asking that you, the city council members, declare it a dangerous structure and order it to be demolitioned within 30 days, and if not, the city has the right to do so.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone that, go ahead.
John, do you know if there was any will associated with these two that passed away?
I do not. I did go and see if there was any liens or any estates on the property. Actually, I talked to the county clerk, and she gave me some websites to go research, and I did go look at those research, and I didn't find anything.
Has the city been doing some routine maintenance, yard mowing or anything like that over there? Do we have a lien on it?
Actually, yes, we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay, and Tim Taylor is actually in possession, or in the process of taking possession of the property?
Yes, he is. That's my understanding.
So, Kerry, do you see any legal reasons why we can't?
One question I have, John, just to make sure we don't run afoul of statute, I've drove by there and looked at it this morning. This sounds like a silly question, but what needs to be done to bring it up to code? Okay, now I know that's a silly question, but you tell the council what it would take if they brought it to you, what it would take to bring it up to code.
It's just, I didn't go on the inside, obviously, and then I actually had the fire chief and I believe the fire deputy went by there as well too, and they didn't want to enter the property. So none of us entered the property. We deemed it too unsafe. But from the exterior, what it appears to me is you'd pretty much have to strip it down to the walls and see what the roof's unsalvageable. You'd have to replace the entire rafters and ceiling joists. And then as far as what structural members would have to be salvaged, you'd have to tear all the sheetrock and siding off and see what's rotted, what's not, and replace it. So it would be almost a complete tear down just to rebuild it.
I have just legally, if you tear the house down and later a family member comes back, what happens?
Well, this is what was going through my mind. There is. I didn't have a chat. I didn't see this till this morning, but I looked to see if there was an affidavit of heirship or anything that was of record, and I didn't see anything this morning or any probates. That just when I perused it, there's a possibility, but he did send notice to, I saw that in the package. So that's the issue out there. He checked for liens. I glanced. I didn't see any liens. It was released. What was on there's one lien. So there, without an affidavit of heirship or probate, there's potentially, and what I was sitting here thinking, I mean, if Tim is in the process of taking it back, then that may take care of a lot of problems right there. Then that's not an issue anymore. He's going to clear that issue up, so we can piggyback with him on that. I've done that before. Piggyback with him on that and alleviate any of those issues like that. So I might suggest, when you said that a minute ago, what was going through my mind was he'll have an abstract of all that, and then if he gets the house back in the present, then there's no issue. We can take care of whatever's done. So why don't we check with him on that and see, and then revisit this just to make sure on that issue, because that that should take care of it. I mean, if we can do that, because I've had this house brought before. I mean, I've had it brought up in court years ago. What we. But I do think that's an alternative right now, is to get with him on it and see, because he may already have that abstract on it. If he does, we're in good shape. You can find out for sure. But I didn't see anything this afternoon when I glanced at it right quick in the deed records. I didn't see anything myself. So that's a pretty good strategy right now. I've done that before with condemnations and other things, to just wait, just say, okay, he's nearly there with it, and we'll piggyback with him on that. So I think we could do that, and everybody be safe on it.
I agree with Kerry. That was going to be my comments. I want to make sure that we as a city are doing all our due diligence. You know, I mean, make every last ditch effort concerning this, and I'm sure with Tim Taylor, that's going to be it kind of the ball's over in his court a little bit on that, and Kerry can confer with him and make sure. But we just need to make double and triple sure that we've done our due diligence. It's not a question of whether this needs to be tore down or anything like that. That's not it. I don't think any of us would have any question with that, but we just want to make, you know, I think we need to make real sure that every I's been dotted and every T's crossed. I agree with Kerry.
Tim will have I'll catch him tomorrow, Thursday. He should have, if he hadn't already, he'll have an abstract on it before long.
I've got a on that. If Tim takes the property for back taxes or whatever, and then we end up tearing the property down, and then he sells it for whatever, I mean, do we recover any costs for tearing the property down, or is that just kind of lost in the wind? I mean, can we lien the property for what it cost us to tear it down?
Tim's going to have to answer that, and the reason I say that, when he does it, he parks them in the various entities. If you look in the deed records, you'll see some parked in the city, some parked in, the county, some whatever. So you really I'll have to ask him. I'm not trying to dodge your question, but it kind of depends on how he does it on that. And I can tell you for sure in a day or two.
So I've got a question. So if the city does the demo work and we bear the cost, do we have a budget line for that money? We do.
And it could be a possibility. I mean, it's just strictly something to think. It could be that we could move that property with whoever bought it with the understanding that they have to tear it down. I mean, I don't.
We're going to lien it. So whatever Tim does after that, but we'll definitely lien the property. But what happens after the sale, we don't have any control over that.
Well, I mean, I was just talking about maybe we can come to some understanding with Tim that says, look, this much is owed in taxes. This is what it cost us to do. So, if we get $8,000 for it, you get 60% of the money, we get 40% of the money for tearing it down. You know what I'm saying? We come to some agreement that we recover some of that money, maybe.
Yeah. You'd best let him answer that, because as I say, the way he titles that when he forecloses, it all depends on how and it took me a while to figure that out too, but that's the best way for him to do it. So he could give you the answer for that, but I'm sure the other entities would be happy to, get it back on the tax rolls, because they're not getting anything out of it now and get taken care of.
Well, and then that also jumps to the question of, if he takes his possession of it, is he responsible for tearing it down, or are we responsible for tearing it down? So, I mean, that's another thing we need to check into, because if he's responsible for tearing it down, maybe we can cut a deal with him. We get a little. I'm just trying to say, if he's going to get the benefit of putting it back on the tax rolls, maybe we get the benefit of getting our deconstruction costs paid for.
I think I can probably answer that. It's still in your. It still belongs to us.
It's worth a shot,
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. What does anybody know how long it'll take for Tim to complete his process? And the second question would be, what does it cost to tear this down typically, a house like this?
Already got a bid on it. It's $5,000.
Because a lot of guys with lumber prices out there may be someone who want to bid on that on the tax sale and actually tear it down and salvage lumber and stuff. I just don't know, but there could be value that we can't see.
Okay,
thank you, John.
Thanks. We appreciate it, John. Yeah, since it's a public hearing, I'm sure, I'm assuming there's no one that would want to speak on this item at this time. Okay, we'll go ahead and close this item, closing the public hearing for item 12.
Mayor, you'll also need to make a motion.
Yep. And, let's see here. Okay, this time a motion.
I'll make a motion when we table this item this time till we learn more.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close item 12 on the agenda. Item 13 is to hold a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 2021-23 for the request of Brandon Milam and Bret Hart, applicants, for a zoning change from SF2 Single Family Residential District and General Retail District to General Retail District on a 5.559 acre tract of land being a part of property conveyed to Wayland Moore by deed recorded in volume 692, page 95, Real Property Records, Titus County, Texas, and being all of the property to Wayland Moore by deed recorded in volume 779, page 115. This property is also known as part of a block 123, City of Mount Pleasant, Texas, and is situated in the Berry Merchant Survey, abstract number 358, Titus County, Texas, and generally located on the north side of West Ferguson Avenue, west of Otyson Avenue.
Mayor and Council, this property is located, as you said, it's on Ferguson, west of Otyson Road. It's several parcels that are tied together and under the single ownership, and it was put up for sale. The applicant is here tonight to address any questions you may have during the public hearing. They came to our office indicating that they wanted to take the back building that you can kind of see on this map. It's an old warehouse building that's been there for years, and their intent is to take that building and convert that to apartments, be sort of a linear apartment complex to the back of the existing front of the property there. That portion of the property that I've included in the packet there with the zoning map, that rear portion of the property is where the building is, and all the way to the north end of it, that area was zoned for a single family residential. So in order to, and then the front properties that have are basically rental homes that are sitting on the front part of this ownership, that part of the property was zoned general retail sometime in the past. So I think maybe the intent was that some of that property is usually what happens on major roadways. At some point, those properties kind of transition to some businesses, offices, things that could occur in a general retail district at times. However, this building that's been sitting back there for all these years is really a commercial grade building. So in a sense, even if the zoning wasn't appropriate back there, it's been sort of in a non-conforming status for, I don't know the history, but probably 50 years or longer. I don't know how long it's been there, but it's been there a long time. So it's been operating that way as a storage facility, and it's not operating that way today. However, that's what the intent is. The property owners were ready to sell the property. We have a group of developers that want to come in, keep the houses in the front as they are, probably do some rehabilitation work on those, keep those as rental properties. But what they intend to do is to, like I said, remodel that building in the back, basically kind of gut it, rebuild it, make it individual apartments. They each has individual doors that open up, and they'll put in some additional parking. We've gone to pre-development with us, and we've talked the requirements for fire protection that they'll have to build a road that comes off of Ferguson, a driveway back into the property to meet fire code requirements. Probably end up putting a fire hydrant back in there also to meet those requirements. So that's really their intent. Now, it sounded a little confusing when I had to do the zoning, and the reason being is because part of the property was already zoned. The front end is general retail. The back is single family. But the legal configuration of the property, them having to survey that property, it was much easier to just say we're zoning it, part of it, and we're all going to zone it all a GR, just not to confuse. And there might have been a little bit of confusion out there when we sent the notice out to understand what was going on. We did receive notices back. We sent out several notices, but we did receive 3 back that were in favor of the request. We received 2 notices that were against. Those 2 notices that were against, I think the lady showed up at our Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, just not really aware of what was going on. Her concern was that 200-foot notice was actually bringing her into the zoning, and that was a confusing part of the neighborhood. They weren't clear that they were outside of the zoning request, but they were inside the notice area, and they got notified. So once they heard that reasoning, it really wasn't an issue with them so much, but they still had turned in that notice. The second notice I got, I talked to the gentleman yesterday on the phone, and to clear it up with him. I think he's got that. I put that on your in front of you guys there in the lectern. His concern was about increase in tax value of this property would have an effect on his adjoining property, and it may increase his tax value. I'm not an expert in that area, but I would think, just looking at this, there's probably, when residential properties is land use in its residential zone, it technically does not have an effect on the value of that property. And well, maybe the good side of it is this property will probably be improved. That'll just increase the value of this property that it's concerned. So the other issue was too, he was concerned that this adjacency, would there really be anything else but that there, and that there would be adequate screening. Well, when they build the apartments, it is required under this ordinance that you put up a solid screening fence in the back, and we're working with the developer to understand that that'll have to be done to screen that back in part of the property from there. So with that being said, this we did take it to the Planning and Zoning Commission last week, and they voted to approve the request by a vote of 5-0. So it's a public hearing. I'll be glad to answer any questions of staff. I do believe the applicant's here to answer any questions you may have.
Council, we have any questions?
I've got one question. So the one that was a negative, I mean, it's not even really a question, but whether the taxes go up on somebody else's property is not our concern. I mean, we're holding the tax value is something completely different than what we deal with totally. I mean, if there's an improvement takes place, that's bonus to the city. I mean, I don't understand that argument at all anyway.
I think it was just a concern. It was just an understanding that he thought that property got improved, that it would make his property more valuable, and then all of a sudden he's paying more taxes. That was just and people think that sometimes about property development. They're not 100% clear that's going to have an effect on them. But generally, when you don't change, you're not changing anything. Especially in this kind of, I call this kind of a transitional thing. When you've got that front end stuff on Ferguson, the back end stuff's not going to change the value back there.
I'll tell you what, I'll put this out there for anybody wanting to do improvements. If they can come put it beside me anytime. How about that?
It sounds like that gentleman needed some clarification of the individual, and you got that solved, yeah. I think we're.
So how many apartment is this going to be in this particular site plan?
I think they're trying to get about, it's between 12 and 14, it's something like that. And is that correct? Before he comes up here. 24, I'm sorry. I guess they're going to be able to get 24 out of that thing. So they were going to speak to you on that.
Okay, thank you. Sure, did you have?
I have a couple of questions. The survey's going to take all this, make it one deed. Is all these properties will be combined into one new legal description, and along with that, if that happens, where will the required fencing need to be put? If you could put that back up.
Only where it's adjacent to the residential properties, to the north primarily, and I don't have the point. I think the fence will it'll run the back side of this property back here, along anything that's zoned residential to the side of it, which I think is all this, anything on this back side. Primarily, we're just trying to, and this building itself, if you look at this building, I mean, it's like a fence anyway, so it would be needless to do a whole lot right there, because, yeah, it's backing up to the property, so really where we're really trying to capture it back here, in that area right there. To try to block anything residential. When you get down here, you're getting into GR, you're getting into general residential, or general retail, so we don't really need, it's not really required for that. It's only required primarily, generally, usually just to screen residential. There is some, it may be an ordinance that says you do, I believe, I'll back up on that. It does say in the ordinance that multifamily usually is screened from anything, even the commercial side of it. So this screening fence will probably run at least down to this point and back up around to here. And that'll kind of cover, like I said, it's a substantial building with a wall back here. So effectively, it's a wall anyway to that point.
How many rental houses is it out front there on the road? I forget. 5, 6? Okay.
Robert, are the setbacks okay with this existing property? I mean, is that, I'm just not trying to stir anything up. I'm just curious. Is that an issue going forward for them?
No, I mean, right now they're not building anything new. They're just remodeling. So that building's existing, so that setback is there. So we're not, on top of that, I think it's a block building. So right now as a firewall, it meets all the standards for a firewall itself.
So, Robert, in here it mentions that adequate screening will be required on all property lines. What determines the height of that screening?
Our ordinance says a 6-foot solid fence is what it says. We're going to go through site planning on that. We'll talk to them about that. We'll see what that is adequate. I mean, generally 6 is, sometimes 8. Depends on what you're going to build to with 8.
Say, shouldn't it be determined on the vertical height of the structure? I mean, if you did a 2 or 3-story building, a 6-foot fence, that doesn't really, I'm not saying you got to have a 3-story fence, but I'm just saying a 6-foot fence, do we have any ordinances that say it would be taller than 6 foot, or 6 foot only allowed height?
I'm not aware of anything that is more restrictive. And on top of that, this is single story. It's up a little bit. The foundation's kind of up because it was almost like a loading dock area where they used to do it. But it's still not much more than it's not a 2-story building, put that way.
I think that's all. If the owner chose to go up 8 feet, that'd be their choice. It wouldn't be,
Okay. Well, thanks, Robert. Sir, did you want to come up? Okay. Please state your name for us.
My name's Bret Hart.
Okay. Council, did you have a question for Mr. Hart? Okay. Anyone else had any questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I want to thank you for being willing and a participant to own that land in that area and to develop it. I know Mr. Moore's mother-in-law and father-in-law since I was all of my life when they owned that land over there. And it's good to see someone come in at this stage in my life and to proceed on to follow all the hard work they've done over here all of these years. And I thank you for taking it on.
I'll echo that of Councilman, that we appreciate your investment. It's needed. We know it's going to be a first-class operation. We know that. And I want to applaud you also for coming in and spending hard-earned money to put into our city and to help grow. And thank you for all you've always done, Waylon, for our community. And I think it'll be a big asset. I really do.
Yes, sir. I thank y'all for your time tonight.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
You mentioned there's going to be 25 apartments, or 24. Are they going to be all cookie cutter, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom? Can you kind of just give us a high level overview of kind of the layout of those apartments?
The majority will be 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Depending on the layout, we'll have some 3 bedroom and some 1 bedrooms. But the majority will be 2 bedroom, 1 bath.
I too, as a real estate professional, that very excited to see this improvement. I wish you much success with it.
All righty. Again, thank you. We appreciate you. Okay. Being that this is a public hearing, is anyone out that would like to speak on this item? Okay. If not, we can go ahead and close the public hearing part and open it up for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this number 2021-23, I believe, for the request of Brandon Milam and Bret Hart. And I'm not going to go through all the verbiage here, but it's been presented tonight, and so I'll make a motion that we approve this as presented.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Adams. Madam Secretary, please record a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close item 13, and now we're on to item 14 on the agenda. To consider approval of a final plat of RB Capital I-30 Addition, being a 2.35 acre tract of land situated in the Rezin B Lincecum Survey, abstract number 348, Titus County, Texas, and being all of the remainder of that 30 acre tract of land called 14th tract, conveyed from Edith Langston, independent executrix, to Jack Langston Company by executor's deed, as recorded in volume 712, page 301, real property records, Titus County, Texas, located on the north side of I-30 and adjacent to the south right-of-way line of County Road 3210.
Mayor and Council, this is a final plat. Can you go on? There we go. This is a final plat. We've been working on this for a bit of time. It's been under construction. We approved it. Initially, we got the property zoned back last year. We got a zone commercial, and then we approved a preliminary plat. This is a Ricky Baker project. They're finishing completion of the building. We were able to work out the sewer issue with them, got that worked out, got it put in. They've connected. We were also able to connect them to city water that was available to them over there. So those are pretty much the outstanding things that we're trying to finish up near the end of this thing. We got it done. And basically it meets all the it meets all the requirements of the preliminary plat. So staff would just recommend you approve that tonight. P&Z did approve it and made a recommendation to you to approve it by a vote of 5-0. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
No questions by the council? Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up for a motion.
I'll move with the approval of the final plat RB Capital I-30 Addition.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilman Adams, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close that item on the agenda. We thank you a lot, Robert. We appreciate you. Okay, at this time, we'll move on to item 16, which is our public comments. If anyone at this time would like to come. I got ahead of myself that time. I'd already marked it out on the agenda. Okay, item 15. Consider approval of a replat of lots 3 and 4, block 1. Caldwell Addition and a portion of an 11 alley being a tract of land located in the Berry Merchant Survey, abstract 358, Titus County, Texas, and in block 100 of the city of Mount Pleasant as shown on the official map of the city of Mount Pleasant dated 1929, and being all of lots 3 and 4 and a portion of an alley in block number 1 of Caldwell Addition as shown on the official map, and also a plat found in volume 14, page 263 of the deed records of Titus County, Texas, located on the northwest 5th Street between North Edwards Avenue and Caldwell Avenue.
Mayor and Council, about 6 weeks ago or so, I think, maybe 2 months, you approved the closure of this alley. And the property owners, both of them, they're adjacent to each other on the north side of the property here. They own both of those vacant lots beside each other. But they wanted to, at least one of them came to us wanting to close that alley. The other was not objecting to it either. However, just to let you know, on this plat, the property owner to the east is the one that has filed the replat for himself. So he's officially wanting to use the property himself at this moment. Even though the alley is closed, the other property owner didn't join in the replat at this time, which he'll have to do separately. And when he goes to develop anything down there, he'll need to bring his own replat to you. But this this property owner, Mr. Reyes, wanted to go forward with that. So this just solidifies the closure of that alley for the city, and we get it into a platted single lot form. And with that, then it becomes again one lot. And again, we have the closure of that other alley, but officially until we get that replat, the other side won't. We won't necessarily. We've recognized it, but we won't allow any building permits to be issued out there for that until he comes in with his own replat. So we took that to Planning and Zoning Commission again, and they recommended approval to you by a vote of 5-0. And again, I'll answer any questions you may have of this.
The floor is open for any questions. I have no questions. The floor is open for a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the replat of Lot 3 and 4, Block 1 of Caldwell Addition as presented tonight here.
I'll second that.
I have a motion made by Councilman Dale, second by Councilman Chappelle. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. We'll now close item 15 and move on to item 16, which is now our public comments. If there's anyone that would like to speak at this time, please approach the podium and state your name for the public. Okay. You do? Go right ahead.
I just wanted to, after we've got an issue going on right now due to some of the sewer line work. There's been at least one homeowner adversely affected, and I know that it's not any of our direct responsibility, but my request to the city staff is always remember that it's a big deal to that homeowner. To have sewer water back up into your house is, I mean, I know last year my mother-in-law's house flooded from the rain, and it was clean water, and that was bad. To have sewer water up in your walls and in have your furniture and stuff, and this always, I'm just imploring, and I'm not on anybody's case, I understand, but it's just another day at work for us. But for them, it's their home and their lives and their health sometimes. And so let's be as accommodating. If it's not a policy, I think every day in life I get a new problem to have to address in my life and business that I didn't anticipate. It's just a new set of circumstances, something that we can't always be ready for. But let's try to be accommodating and not pass the buck, and at least try to offer as many solutions as possible, at least sympathy with that person. I know that when they're emotional, that their story to us is sometimes elevated, and but it's I don't even like it, when my dishwasher leaks or something. I mean, I've been there, and it's not fun to have wet, nasty stuff. So she indicated, the homeowner indicated that when they called, said, can someone at the city, and I think she specifically asked, maybe she didn't know who to ask for, because the fire department, she wanted the water pumped out of the house yesterday when she walked in, ankle deep water. And I don't blame her. I'd want some help too, and I don't know what our policy is on that, but let's always do our best to accommodate someone in sort of a semi-emergency situation. And I don't know, again, what can be done legally, but I didn't feel like the city, and I hate to bring this, but I'm just saying, I think that maybe we didn't give her the sympathy and maybe the help that she needed at the time. Second thing is, I want to ask everybody again, and I mentioned this when we were at the TML convention. I'd still like I'd like a weekly update from somebody in the city as to events that are going on in town. I think we did get something the other day, and I appreciate that, about a couple events coming up. I just want to press on you guys again to please get us those updates so that we can drop by and attend certain events. I know that I have missed a few, just not aware of it, and I don't, I know there's different ways. I mean, from the police department and the fire department getting notified that there's an event or a gathering, or, needing, assistance for a parade or whatever it is. Anything that we can come up with, it'd be helpful to us to know those times and events and who's sponsoring it, so we can come, drop by from time to time. I've been picked on, y'all never show up. And I'm like, well, we can't come if we don't know about it. So I'd appreciate a little, I did get an update. I think Candace sent it to us, and I appreciate it. I don't think she's here, but try to keep us as informed as you can on that, please. And I appreciate all your efforts.
Ricky, could you come to the front, please? Could you give an overview of what's happening with the new park, please?
Yes, sir. I believe you're talking about the damage and the destruction that's going on. So, do you just want me to run through a list of things? So there's probably 5 or 6 things. One of the things that's disturbing is, so there individuals are taking sprinkler heads off of the soccer fields, taking them to the parking lots, and just bashing them to pieces. And so, the thing about that is that's intentional. And there, with the restrooms, we've had issue with sewer water backing up in the lines due to things that aren't supposed to go into the sewer line being flushed down. And so we had to have a pumper truck come out 10, 11 o'clock at night and get that fixed. And there's also this TikTok thing that's going on with tearing up paper towel dispensers and soap dispensers off the walls. And so I wasn't aware of that was a thing, but and we also have an issue with 4-wheelers or side-by-sides that are starting to appear, tracks and ruts and things like that. So I've spoken to the police chief, and so what we're going to suggest is, in the next couple of months, we're going to bring some park ordinances to you and have some discussions in-house about maybe closing the park earlier and things like that.
And we are looking at cameras also, I understand.
Absolutely. They not only out there, but Delwood and Heritage Park and Oaklawn Park as well. So absolutely, I think that's a must.
I've got a question. So if we talk about cameras, I mean, so where do we put the monitors at? Do we put are they monitored? Do we put them in the dispatch at the police station, and when they're not doing the 900 other things that they need to do they glance over and go, hey, somebody's running a 4-wheeler across here? You know what I'm saying? I mean, how do we do that?
So these types of cameras, we actually don't have capacity to view more videos at the same time, but they would be able to capture stuff, which would give us information into the investigation to capture whoever's done these acts.
That would be fine. I didn't know if we were talking about putting something in place that you guys don't have the time or the ability to keep up with anyway. But as long as we can go back, and can I make a request that if we do look at some cameras, let's look at some good ones. Let's be able to pick somebody out,
Well, and Ricky and I have had this conversation too. You make the camera, they're not hidden cameras. You want them very visible. You want signage reminding people there are cameras out there. And that alone can help deter some of these actions, especially when they know that, smile, you're on candid camera, and then we'll come back and prosecute you.
And they need to understand that they will be prosecuted if caught.
So, the camera systems you looked at may already have this, but a lot of these newer high-def cameras, they have the ability to set up, when it detects motion, it can detect a person versus an animal versus a dog or a vehicle, whatever. you can have it alert you via an app on your phone, and you know right then you got activity occurring at whatever that camera location is. So we need to look at that too. But to Mr. Galen Adams' point about the cameras, we need to invest in some really high quality cameras that will be worth our money spent.
So when we were at TML, the mayor and myself, we ran across a vendor, and he was explaining this to us. And so this would be a cloud-based system, and he went into where you can draw a line around a part, and it absolutely detects motion, like Mr. Chappelle said, and then that would alert whoever's monitoring the system or however we want to set it up.
Question in reference to the skateboard that he is already using out there. They shouldn't be using the skateboard, right? There were several there Sunday.
So unfortunately, in our ordinances, we don't have anything that we can stop them at the moment. But absolutely, we have a skate park, and that's what that should be used for. So that's why I spoke about the ordinances that we're going to bring to you to help stop that. But you're absolutely correct. They shouldn't. Skateboards cause a lot of damage.
I'm pretty sure also when these cameras will stop the driving over the basketball courts and stuff like that. It's been happening over the Heritage Park.
Yes, sir. So we spent $31,000 to resurface the basketball courts and tennis courts, and within 2 weeks, we had vehicles that did donuts basically, and just unfortunate. But
well, thanks, Ricky. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Ricky. I'll just echo Councilwoman Sproul. I tell you, it is heart-wrenching, and it's catastrophic. I've had a house flood before, and it was with the clean water. And let me tell you, it's it's unbelievable. So yes, all the city can do as far as being helpful and understanding, we definitely want to do that.
Darlene, one thing back to what Sherry said about events, and I can get with you offline to talk about it, but we can set up a Google Calendar for all of our city phones, and you can put events in there, and it syncs to all of our phones. That way we always know it's there, whether we go or not, but at least we have it. It's very easy to do. We use it at our work, and it's very effective. Everybody get the same calendar. If the mayor puts an event in there that is coming up, it syncs to everybody's phone that's set up with that particular calendar. Not anybody gets that. When you set the calendar up, it has a username and password, so it only goes to those who are allowed and given that access information. But it's a very effective tool, just letting you know.
That sounds really good, but there's a couple of them up there that I'm not sure. I'm not naming any names.
I'm looking at one over here to my right.
Well, start dock and pay.
I was fixing to say, Sherry talking about she won't be notified. They're not doing chisels and tablets anymore. Good Lord.
Not to mention that flip phone.
Go ahead, sir. You had.
Mayor, if you and the council and Councilwoman Sproul, I talked to the project superintendent for ASB on that house flooding, and if you want any information, I'm available to provide that from him that he told me today.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I did know if this was the proper time at public comment to take that information.
That's fine. We'll talk right after. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Okay. We have nothing else at this time. We'll go ahead and close the public comment at this time. We'll move on to item 17, which is the city manager's report. He's not here. And then the city manager is not with us today. He's ill, and I ask that you all keep him in your prayers. Him and his wife is both ill at this time, and so my heart goes out to him, and we'll kind of miss him up here. So we'll go ahead and close item 17 on the agenda. Okay, at this time, we have executive session. That is going to be, the next item was executive session that will be canceled at this time. move to.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
At this time, we adjourn.